You could easily argue that this year's high school track and field season has been the greatest we've ever seen at that level. We've had the national records, big time performances. Some of these athletes even went out there with pros and beat them in one-off meets. We've had rivalries. Like, all of that actually happened. And just like elite college coaches, I've been paying attention throughout the entire season. And instead of rattling off all of those performances and all the big time moments, they all add up to one thing, because people really want to know which athletes are really the best, which is why I created a 5-star recruit ranking system that ranks all of the athletes across every single event. And since I created it some time ago, I noticed that there are other ranking systems out there, but mine is different, and here's why. Becoming a 5-star on my list is incredibly hard, because my list doesn't exist to dictate reality. It's there to reflect it. Simply put, the coaches at the top programs in D1 are very clear on the types of athletes that they want to go out there and recruit. They don't really care at all where the talent is. They just want to know how to find it, and hopefully a lot of it. And now that all of the national championship meets, because we've got a whole bunch of them, are done, I can officially re-rank the class of 2025. Because although those kids are going to be going to college, where rankings don't mean anything after the gun goes off, we still need to know who is really the best. Because when it comes to recruit rankings, the senior class, specifically when they go off to college, they set the curve. My ranking system is hard to get a 5-star, and it's only getting harder going forward. Because now that we know who the best kids actually are, like the ones who are going to college, committed to these SEC programs, Big Ten, or wherever else they're going to go, everyone else is going to get measured to that standard. So if you are a freshman, or a sophomore, or even a junior, your ranking in your class will be dictated off of the seniors. If you're not good enough to get ranked, if you are a senior right now, you're not going to be a high 4-star. You can forget about a 5-star, just saying. But remember, if you're a high school athlete, nobody can actually put a limit on you or your potential. So when you do go out there to get recruited, you should just focus on finding coaches who believe in you as much as you do. So this is a breakdown of the best track and field recruits for the class of 2025 on both the boys and the girls' sides. Because with a whole lot of talent out there, the cream always rises to the top. Be sure to check out the full ranking list on my website, scarecruiting.com, or just click the link in the description below. The re-ranks for the class of 2026 and 2027 are soon to come, and the very first list for 2028 will drop after that. And if your name is not on my list, but you really think that you have what it takes to get ranked amongst the best in the nation, then you can send in your information on my website to get a free evaluation. I admit that there's no guarantee that you'll get on, but it does give me a chance to consider you. Starting this off on the boys' side, the number 10 recruit in the nation is a name that might surprise people, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Brayden Deshaun Williams out of Texas. He is a Georgia commit and a 100-meter sprinter who broke the high school national record in that event. So if you're wondering how he is this low, I mean, top 10 is pretty high if you ask me. But remember, this is across all the events. He's really good at the 100. But when you look at the win legal list, he wasn't number 1 even in his class. And beyond that, he faced off with the boy who was, and he didn't win that one. Spoiler alert. But talent like that across the 60 indoors and the 100 outdoors is incredibly hard to find. So I'm really excited to see what he looks like in a Georgia uniform in the SEC next season. And the number 9 recruit tied him with a 92 overall rating on my scale. Also from the state of Texas is Jonathan Sims, who ran really fast times earlier in his high school career, but really had a down year as a junior. But he picked it up as a senior, because he finished top 3 in the nation in both the 200 and the 400 on the leaderboards. And it's really not a surprise to me that he's also headed to Georgia, where winning 4x4s is basically what they do, at least indoors. Yet the number 8 recruit in the nation is Corbin Coombs out of New Mexico. As a distance runner, he held onto his spot in the top 10 from last year through to this year, which is a big deal on my list. He's a 93 overall rating, and now he's committed to Wake Forest. His versatility is how he did it, because he's top 5 ranked in both the 3200 and the 1600, and still nationally ranked inside the top 25 for the 800. Yet the number 7 recruit finished the season as the best combo thrower in the entire class. McKay Madsen out of California. He's committed to BYU, and he also plays football. So we don't know if we're going to see him on the field, in the shot or the disc. But if we do, he's likely going to be a problem in the Big 12 if he keeps going. Ironically, recruits number 6 and number 5 are both from Oregon, both run distance and competed for the exact same high school, Josiah Tostenson and Tayvon Kitchen. They're both incredibly versatile, but also among the nation's very best in at least one event. And they're taking that talent to Washington in the Big 10 and BYU in the Big 12, because that's what a 94 overall rating will get you in recruiting. Yet the number 4 recruit in the nation is hands down the best hurdler on the board in the class, Lloyd, once again out of Texas. He's actually committed to Texas State, which does not compete in a power conference, but he was number 1 in the nation on the leaderboards for both the short hurdles and the long hurdles. So yes, he's a 95 overall rating and the best hurdler, yet the number 3 recruit in the nation held his spot on my list from the end of his sophomore year all the way up until now in the top 10, Maurice Gleaton Jr. out of Georgia. And before I go any further, I might as well say this part. He's going to become a Georgia Bulldog because almost all of the fast kids end up going there. He's number 1 in the nation in his class when legal in the 100. He broke 10 flat. He also beat a legitimate field of pros in a sprint series race, breaking 10 flat multiple times, even if it was wind assisted. And after all that, he is still one of the best 200-meter sprinters in his class. But the number 2 recruit in the nation is the best long sprinter on the board, Jayden Horton-Mims out of Pennsylvania, who's committed to the University of Florida in the SEC. He's number 1 for the entire class in both the 200 and the 400, and he also has championships to back it up. The Florida Gators like to win national championships, and when they bring in athletes like him, it's pretty clear that they're trying to keep that thing going. But the number 1 recruit in the nation on my list is the same young man who held that status when the high school season started, Owen Powell out of Washington, who is committed to the University of Washington. He went number 1 on the leaderboards in both the 800 and the 1500, but still went top 3 when you go up to the 3200. Simply put, when it comes to high school distance running, if Owen Powell is on the starting line, the only way you can beat him, like have a prayer of doing it, is you're going to have to be one of the best of the best. Probably the type of athlete who is already on this list I just gave you. And even then, it's not a safe bet. What I see when I examine the top boys recruits year to year is that most of them really come into their own later in their careers. There's only a small percentage who start off as freshmen and sophomores who are clearly ahead of everybody else. But once again, by the time senior year actually starts, we have a pretty good idea of who the best kids are. But the races don't run themselves. So when the dust settles, at the end of your senior year, you can get some surprises on the 5-star list. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, the founder of SCArecruiting.com, where I rank the best track and field recruits across the entire nation. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. Moving on to the girls' side, I have to admit that I didn't see it being possible to start off their top 10 without adding an extra name, because the number 11 recruit, when I crunched the numbers, is a reclassified athlete from the class of 2026, Raye out of Rhode Island. In her class, she was looking like the number 1 recruit on the board, but because she reclassified and got examined against the class of 2025, that's how she fell all the way down to number 11. She dominated the indoor season and even broke high school national records, and still took care of business outdoors on the leaderboards between the 100 and the 200. She's now committed to Georgia and the SEC, and is likely going to be a problem immediately once she gets in their uniform. But the number 10 recruit is Tyra Cox out of Florida, who is committed to the University of Florida in the SEC. She is a true sprinter. She went top 15 on the leaderboard in the 100, but top 5 in both the 400 and the 200. And the number 9 recruit is Taylor Nunez out of Texas, who committed to Texas A&M once again in the SEC. She is a sprinter and a jumper, who is ranked on the national leaderboards in the 100 and the long jump, inside the top 3, but she's still top 15 in the 200. So yes, Taylor Nunez is the real deal, and when athletes like her show up in the SEC, it should start to make a whole lot of sense why I refer to that conference as professional track and field disguised as college athletics. The number 8 recruit held onto her spot from last season as the best combo thrower in the entire class, Jessica Oji out of New Jersey, and she's committed to the University of Pennsylvania in the Ivy League. And the number 7 recruit is Anisa Bowen-Fontenot out of California. She's the best combo hurdler in the nation and a USC commit to add more talent to an already stacked team in the Big Ten. Yet rising up for the number 6 spot is a distance runner, Hanne Thomsen out of California. She's nationally ranked inside the top 3 for the 1600 and the 3200. But all of her talent is headed to Stanford, which is ironically still in the ACC. Still trips me out every time I say it. Yet it's hard to understand just how talented this particular class is until I give you the number 5 recruit. Dana Wilson out of North Carolina is arguably the best short sprinter in the entire class. She's number 1 on the national leaderboard in the 100 and number 2 win legal in the 200. She even has championships to go along with it, but because of the way the high school circuit actually functions, we don't always get to see the best athletes go at it, because we're running multiple national championships at the same time. But Dana is headed to Tennessee in the SEC, so spoiler alert, when I do give you the other name, they will face off at the next level in that conference. Yet the number 4 recruit is Sydney Sutton out of Maryland. She is a long hurdler and a sprinter, who is taking her talent to Florida in the SEC. She managed to finish top 3 on national leaderboards in the 200, the 400, and the 400 hurdles, so she's likely going to be a problem in every single one of them when she gets to the next level. And for the final 3 names, all of them came into this year as a top 5 recruit, and all they did was convince us that they are who we thought they were. Elise Cooper is number 3 on that board, and she is, if you're asking me, the best sprinter in the nation. She went number 1 in the 200, number 2 in the 400, and still number 6 in the 100. And all of those are the reasons why she is committed to the Texas Longhorns in the SEC. But when I say the name Sadie Engelhardt as the number 2 recruit on this list, you have to understand all the context. She was number 1 in her class for a very long time. And you can make an argument that she probably still could be that. But let's just go over the facts. Between the high school national records, all the races she's won, the versatility between the 8, the mile, going up to the 2 mile, she runs cross country, like all of that is what it is. But she really didn't run all that many races at all outdoors this year. She showed up to the New Balance Outdoor National Meet and still went top 2 in multiple events. So doing that without really running a season prior to it showcases just how much talent she has, because she didn't put a lot of times on the board. And the woman who's going to be number 1 on this list did what she did. That's the only reason why Sadie is no longer in the number 1 spot. But she's taking all of her talent to NC State, where in the ACC, we're going to get to witness what she does at the next level. And after everything I just said, and if you know anything about high school distance running, you already know the number 1 recruit now. It's Jane Hedengren out of Utah, who will be taking her talents to BYU. She's broken multiple high school national records this season between cross country, indoors, and outdoors. She's number 1 in her class, obviously, in the 1600, the 3200, and ranked in the 800. For her to be able to go that fast in the 8 and have cross country and 5K numbers that are so competitive right now, where she could go on the boards with some of the best women in college already, it's hard to consider what Jane just did as a breakout performance when you realize she was already a top 5 recruit when the year started. But when Sadie Engelhardt is number 1, and you figure out how to make it clear that you deserve that spot, this is a breakout performance. So we will see what happens when she goes to BYU, because they're reigning national champions already in cross country, and they just added her to that roster. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Rankings don't mean anything after the gun goes off. But all of these athletes have validated the entire way through their high school career that they are the best of the best. They didn't just win, they won big. and they went incredibly fast, threw incredibly far, and jumped incredibly far when they did it. For those reasons, that is why they are 5 stars on my list. And you can check out the full ranking list for all the top recruits in the nation on my website, because you or someone you know just might be on it. Just keep in mind that if you really want to be the best, you're going to have to go out there and beat the best. And if you do, I will most certainly be paying attention. I actually made it all the way to the end of this video. I do have to admit that thank you doesn't do it justice anymore, because you are a real one. And if you want more from me beyond this video, on scarecruiting.com, you can get a ton of resources, like my free recruiting guide, online courses, and much more, including the option to meet with me one-on-one, where my specialty is helping you figure out which schools might actually be the best fit for you. And if nothing else, and you really just want to see more content like this, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.